Nobody saw this coming. And by the time you finish this video, you're going to understand why a single race in Colombia might have just quietly changed the entire future of South American sprinting forever. This week, every single conversation in the athletics world was supposed to be about Paris. Lyles against Jordan Anthony in the 100, a possible world record showdown in the women's 800, and the heavyweight 400-meter battle between the defending world champion and the defending Olympic champion. That was the story everyone was preparing for. And then, completely out of nowhere, something happened in Colombia that nobody was talking about, and it is the kind of result that doesn't just make headlines. It potentially rewrites history books. Before I tell you exactly what happened and why it matters this much, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story has layers to it that most people watching the race live did not even catch. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll see this performance completely differently than you did 5 minutes ago. So here's what happened at this year's Pan American Championships in Colombia. The men's 100-meter final produced a result that stunned the entire sprinting community. Taking the win was Colombia's own Ronald Longa, just 21 years old. And in that final, he ran a brand new personal record of 9.85 seconds. That time is not just a personal best. It is a new Colombian national record, and it is a new South American record. When Longa crossed that finish line, he already looked excited, but it was the moment he turned around and actually saw the number on the scoreboard that told you everything you needed to know about how big this moment really was for him. And here's the part that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. That single run, 9.85 seconds, instantly placed Ronald Longa as the third fastest man in the entire world for 2026. Sitting right between him on that list, Kenny Bednarek on one side and Noah Lyles on the other. Let that sink in for a second, because we are about to break down exactly how real this performance actually is. Now look, every single year, we see at least one sprinter from South America manage to dip under 10 seconds in the 100. That part isn't new. What makes this different is the scale of it. This 9.85 obliterated the previous South American record, which belonged to Eric Cardoso, who ran 9.93 back in 2025. Longa didn't just break that record. He broke it by almost a full tenth of a second. That is not a small improvement in sprinting terms. That is a generational leap. With this single race, Ronald Longa officially became the fastest South American sprinter in the history of the sport. And I want you to really sit with that, because moments like this almost never happen in this part of the world, and definitely not for a country like Colombia. But here is where I have to slow down and be completely honest with you. Because as exciting as this is, we cannot talk about this performance without talking about the conditions it happened in. And this is a part of the story most casual fans are going to miss completely. First, the wind. It was blowing at a positive 1.5 meters per second, right behind the runners, which absolutely helps a sprinter move faster in the 100. But the wind isn't even the biggest factor here. This race was run in Medellin, sitting at roughly 1,500 meters above sea level. Serious altitude. And altitude is a well-documented advantage in sprint events. When you actually convert Longa's run to sea level neutral wind conditions, that 9.85 becomes a 9.95. Still an outstanding time. Still a sub-10 second performance under basically any condition. But it is not quite the same number that's sitting on the official results sheet. And that distinction matters if we're being fair about where this run truly ranks. This is, by the way, the exact same reason why Ferdinand Omanyala's fastest career performances have all come out of Nairobi, Kenya, a city sitting at nearly 1,850 meters. Altitude has always quietly shaped sprinting history, and it just did it again in Colombia. And it wasn't just Longa running fast that day either. Stick with me here, because this race was loaded. Silver went to Kenya in the Jai Bediako-style competition with a 9.92, and bronze came with a 9.98. 3 men, all sub-10 in a single final at the Pan American Championships. That is an absurdly deep result for this level of meet, and it tells you something important. The sprinting talent emerging from this region right now is not a fluke. It is a trend. So now the real question becomes, is Ronald Longa actually about to become one of the biggest names in world sprinting in 2026? Or is this one big result about to disappear the way so many breakout performances do? And to answer that, We need to go back and look at his entire career, because his journey up to this point has been far from a straight line. Rewind to 2023. That's when Longa broke 10 seconds for the very first time, running 9.99 in Sao Paulo, Brazil, racing against a former world junior record holder. He finished third in that race, but breaking 10 seconds as a junior puts him into one of the most exclusive clubs that exists anywhere in this sport. Almost no junior sprinters in history have managed that. So the talent was clearly there early. But then 2024 happened, and it did not go the way anyone expected. He regressed hard, running just 10.29 in the 100 that year, nowhere close to his potential. If you were watching his career at that point, you might have written him off completely. Then in 2025, he clawed his way back, running a 9.96 in Italy in May. But even after that fast early result, he could not get back under 10 seconds again for the rest of that entire season, eventually only managing a 10.07 at the Pan American Junior Championships. It has been a roller coaster, to say the absolute least. But 2026 looks different. This year, Longa has already gone sub-10 with a 9.98 earlier in the season, and he's been under 10.1 on 4 separate occasions. So this 9.85 isn't some completely random outlier. It's the peak of the season that was already trending upward. And here's something most people are completely overlooking. His 200-meter times have been quietly improving year after year, and this season he ran a 20.31. Now, that time alone won't win him any Diamond League races, but it is 0.2 of a second faster than anything he had ever run before his life. And that kind of improvement in strength and speed endurance changes everything about how a sprinter finishes a 100-meter race. So many athletes fall apart in the final 20 or 30 meters of a 100. That's usually where races are decided. And in this 9.85 run, Longa did the opposite. He held his form all the way through the line and actually pulled away from the field in those final meters. That is exactly the kind of strength gain you would expect to see translate directly into a breakthrough like this one. And here is where this story gets even bigger than just one fast race, because this result matters for an entire country, not just one athlete. Throughout the complete history of the World Athletics Championships and the Olympic Games, no athlete from Colombia, male or female, has ever stood on a podium in either the 100 or the 200 meters. Not once. Ever. So if Ronald Longa can hold this level of form, he is not just chasing a fast time anymore. He could genuinely be chasing history for his entire nation. But before anyone gets too far ahead of themselves, understand exactly how brutal the competition at the top of this event currently is. To break into the top 3 at a major global championship, Longa would have to get past Noah Lyles, Kenny Bednarek, Oblique Seville, Kishane Thompson, Brian Lavelle, Letzel Tabogo, Akani Simbine, Ferdinando Manala, and a long list of others who are all operating at an elite level right now. This is arguably the deepest era the men's 100 meters has ever seen. So reaching the global podium will require absolute perfection from Longa, no margin for error at all. So here's where this leaves us, and here's the suspense I want you to sit with until the next time we cover this story. Was this 9.85 the sign of a genuine new contender stepping onto the world stage? Someone who was about to become a permanent fixture at the very top of this sport? Or was this one perfectly timed run, aided by altitude and a favorable wind, that we look back on in a year and realize never quite repeated itself? Right now, nobody actually knows the answer, not even Longa himself. But one thing is certain. The entire sprinting world just put his name on notice, and every race he runs for the rest of the season is going to be watched far more closely than ever before. So, let me know in the comments. Do you think Ronald Longa is the real deal? Do you think he can actually challenge for a global medal? And what do you expect from him for the rest of 2026? Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what happens next. Drop your prediction below. And I will see you in the next one.